You think you know Savannah Guthrie. The steady presence on morning television. The calm voice asking tough questions. The warm smile that makes hard headlines feel a little softer. For more than a decade, she's been part of America's daily routine. Interviewing presidents, sharing stories about motherhood, navigating heartbreak with grace. She looks composed, grounded, unshakable. But what if I told you that for 30 years, Savannah has been carrying a secret so heavy, so carefully buried, that not even the people closest to her ever saw it? Not a tabloid scandal, not an affair. Something deeper than that. A second life. And now, with her 84-year-old mother missing for 10 agonizing days. Blood found on the porch. A silent pacemaker. Ransom demands sent through cryptocurrency. That hidden life is cracking wide open. Because the call that changed everything didn't come from a kidnapper. It came from someone who knew Savannah better than anyone ever has. And what that voice revealed may rewrite everything we thought we understood about her. It began on a gray February morning in Tucson. The family had set up camp in a rented house not far from Nancy's quiet ranch home in the Catalina foothills. Yellow crime scene tape still fluttered in the desert wind. Volunteers were combing through brush. Drones buzzed overhead. Law enforcement moved in and out with tight expressions and few answers. No new leads. No confirmed sightings. Just silence stretching into its 10th day. Savannah had barely slept. She'd been reviewing tip sheets with her siblings, Annie and Cameron, coordinating with investigators trying to hold it together. She's interviewed world leaders under pressure. But this was different. This was her mother. Then, at 8:45 that morning, her phone rang. She stepped outside, expecting another update from authorities. Instead, she heard a woman's voice. "Savannah? It's Elena. We need to talk. About your mother. And about what you've been hiding." Savannah froze. Elena. A name she hadn't spoken out loud in decades. A name tied to a version of herself she thought she'd locked away forever. Sources close to the family say her composure broke for the first time since the disappearance. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Not now. How did you even get this number?" But Elena kept talking. She mentioned dates from the early 90s, specific places in Tucson, a locket Savannah once gave her, details no one else could possibly know. "This isn't random," Elena said. "It connects to us, to what we were part of. And if you don't tell the truth, it could destroy everything." When the call ended, Savannah's hands were shaking. She went back inside and asked for privacy. No agents, no outsiders, just family. That's when she told Annie and Cameron the truth she had guarded for 30 years. It started when she was 16, long before the television lights, before the law degree, before the polished public image. Savannah grew up in Tucson. After father's sudden death from a heart attack, her mother became the pillar of the family, strong, faithful, resilient. She raised her children with discipline and high expectations. Strength wasn't optional. Emotions were handled quietly. You kept going. Savannah excelled. Straight A's. Debate team. University of Arizona. She learned how to perform strength so well that it became second nature. But inside, she felt something else. Pressure. Restlessness. A need to explore parts of herself that didn't fit into the perfect daughter mold. That's when she met Elena. Elena Ramirez was a few years older. An artist. An activist. Openly queer in a conservative town at a time when that came with real risk. She ran a quiet support circle for young people trying to understand who they were outside judgmental eyes. Savannah found one of those meetings as a teenager, drawn by a simple promise, a place to be yourself. Elena saw through her immediately, saw the questions Savannah didn't dare say at home. They became friends. Then something more. But it had to stay secret. Savannah created an alter ego. Clark, her middle name. Clark was braver, louder. She attended rallies, wrote poetry, slipped into underground art shows with a fake ID Elena helped her get. Clark spoke her mind. Clark didn't worry about disappointing anyone. And for years, Savannah lived both lives. By day, the driven student, the ambitious journalist. The daughter who never faltered. In private, stolen weekends in Tucson, conversations that stretched until sunrise. A relationship built in the shadows, even as her career rose. Local news, bigger markets, eventually a national platform. She never fully let that part of herself go. The higher she climbed, the more impossible it felt to reveal the truth. Her mother beamed with pride at every milestone. Every promotion was proof that Savannah had become exactly who she was raised to be. Confessing about Elena felt like shattering that image, so she compartmentalized. Years passed. Elena moved to a quiet suburb and became an art teacher. The visits grew less frequent, but the connection never disappeared. And then came the disappearance. As Elena watched the news, something unsettled her. She remembered an old name from their activist days. A man who had threatened their group after a protest in 1992. Volatile, angry, blaming them for his arrest. Ricky Torres. He had sworn revenge. Back then, they dismissed him as noise. But what if he hadn't forgotten? What if he had tracked down Clark and discovered who Clark became? When Savannah finished telling her siblings, the room fell silent. "I've been living two lives since I was 16, she said softly. Mom never knew. No one did." Annie cried. Cameron paced stunned. "Is this woman involved?" he demanded. "No," Savannah insisted. "She's trying to help." By evening, investigators had Elena's name. They began digging into old records. Into Ricky Torres. Into whether a decades-old grudge could somehow connect to an elderly woman vanishing without a trace. And in the middle of it all, Savannah sat alone on the patio that night, staring at her phone. A message from Elena lit up the screen. "You don't have to hide anymore." For 30 years, Savannah had worn strength like armor. But armor gets heavy. And now, with her mother gone, she was forced to ask herself whether the performance had cost more than she realized. The next morning, Elena arrived under FBI escort. Time had etched lines into her face, streaked gray through her hair. But when their eyes met, something familiar flickered between them. They embraced. Not dramatically, not for cameras, just two people who had once built a world together in secret. Inside, Elena handed investigators photos, letters, a handwritten list of names from the old activist circle. One name circled in red. Ricky Torres. By afternoon, agents confirmed he had recently resurfaced in Tucson. A neighbor near Nancy's home reported seeing a man matching his description weeks before the abduction. It wasn't proof, but it was a thread. And for the first time in 10 days, something shifted. Not full hope, but movement. Savannah stood outside again as the sun dipped behind the mountains. Elena joined her. "You kept me hidden for 30 years, Elena said gently, "but you never stopped caring." Savannah looked at her. Really looked. And felt something she hadn't felt since she was 16. Not shame, not fear, just honesty. Somewhere out there, her mother was still missing. The stakes were terrifyingly real, and if this old connection had played a role, the weight of that would be something she'd carry forever. But something else was happening too. The mask was off. She was no longer just the composed anchor or the perfect daughter. She was complicated, human, flawed. And maybe that truth, the one she ran from for decades, would end up being the key to bringing her mother home. And here's the part that stops you in your tracks. If this news about the celebrity touches your heart, please share it. Because this isn't just about a missing person. It's about identity, about the cost of silence, about what we hide to protect the people we love, and whether that protection is ever real. As investigators follow the trail, one question hangs in the desert air. Was this truly revenge from a forgotten past? Or something else entirely? Savannah doesn't know yet. But for the first time in 30 years, she's done hiding. And maybe that's where the real story begins. If this moved you, if it made you think about the parts of yourself you've kept quiet, take a second to like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because sometimes the strongest people are the ones carrying the heaviest secrets. And sometimes telling the truth is the bravest thing you can do.